Hey guys, welcome back to Snoozers or Losers. Week 1 is in the books. Now we're looking to week 2. So we're going to cover some quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. We're going to cover the whole gamut tonight. So we have Kyle from Boo Bus Fantasy Football and Tony with Fantasy Quick Hits with us. And let's jump right into it, fellas. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Cool. All righty, guys. Let's start with quarterbacks. And the first one on my list is Tyler Heinicke. So, stepping
because
in.
Of course he is.
Yeah, that's who I'm starting off with. We're going to go off of FantasyPros rankings here. And FantasyPros has him down at the number 31 quarterback this week. Of course, there's only 32 starters. So they have him all the way down second to last. The only one further down than him is Andy Dalton. So, Heinicke, snoozer or loser for week 2? Tony, let's go with you first. What do you think?
Yeah.
Hold on. I should tell you, he's playing the Giants at home. Just to let you know. Sorry. Heinicke with the Giants at home. Snoozer or loser? Tony, go for it.
Yeah, I think my last memory of Taylor Heinicke was in that, I don't know if it was a divisional game last year that they played against Tampa Bay, and he put on a ridiculous show.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see him. And are they playing Thursday night?
Yep.
Yeah, Thursday night game, prime time, national television. I'm expecting Heinicke to bring it. He's kind of, this is kind of a little bit of a throwback for you younger guys, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of a Doug Flutie. Just given his opportunity and has taken it. He's a mobile guy. He's got a great arm, and I like Heinicke. So he's got some good receivers there, Logan Thomas and Scary Terry. I don't know why they have him down so low at 31, but based on that ranking, I would put him in my snoozer column. I would expect him to finish somewhere in the 15 to 20 range.
Cool. All right, Kyle, what do you think? Snoozer or loser, Tyler Heinicke?
Yeah, I think he's a snoozer too. They're playing the Giants at home. Like he's gonna outperform that ranking for sure. But like Tony said, I mean the kid's got talent. He's got weapons. So I think, future weeks we'll see him ranked a little higher than some of these guys. I mean, yeah, snoozer for me.
I mean, they have Daniel Jones at 29, so.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Cool.
I agree. That.
Yeah. So, alrighty, consensus is snoozer for this week. Alrighty, higher than 31. All right, guys, let's move into some running backs really quick. And I actually think we covered this one last week, but tricky one. Let's talk about DeAndre Swift.
We have a repeat offender here. Okay.
Yeah, well, he's a tricky one, and I know me and Kyle got burned by him. We moved him out of our starting lineups, and he ended up still doing well last week. But this week, FantasyPros, this is in PPR scoring. All these will be in PPR scoring, just so our viewers know. DeAndre Swift is at number 12 running back this week. So, Kyle, hold on. Let me tell you who he's playing. He's playing at Green Bay.
Yeah, that's the Monday night. That's the Monday night game.
Yep, at Green Bay. Kyle, snoozer or loser, DeAndre Swift at number 12.
Man, number 12. Green Bay. I guess I'm going to say snoozer because it kind of feels about right. Honestly, he looked healthy this last week, so he'll probably get even more work this week. Jared Goff, the dump down king, at a rival on Monday night. Yeah, I got him as a snoozer.
Okay, cool. Tony, what do you think? DeAndre Swift at number 12, running back.
Yeah, he was a snoozer for me last week.
Rub it in.
That to me is what's that?
Rub it in. Yeah.
Kind of, the game script worked along the lines of what I expected last week. What I did not expect was Jamal Williams to see almost an equal amount of work in the passing game. And so if not for Jamal Williams there and him being more involved than what I expected, I would probably agree with that ranking. But because of Jamal Williams and sharing and splitting that workload, I think last week, might be his ceiling in terms of receptions. I don't know that I see him exceeding his number 12 ranking. I would put him in my loser column for this week. I mean, Green Bay, they were embarrassed on the game of the week on Fox. This is a prideful team. You got a lot of talent on that team. I expect them to come out at home on Monday night and just kind of set the tempo and play a completely different football game. I would be shocked if DeAndre Swift finished 12th or higher.
Cool. I get to jump in early here with a tie between you two and kind of split that tie. Let's see.
We can never agree on DeAndre Swift. What is it about this guy
tricky.
that has me and Tony at odds?
That's high. 12 is high for DeAndre Swift.
Well, it is. I was just looking at some of the guys under him, and I'm like, can't picture them doing better.
They came out right before the games last week, said Jamal Williams was starting. So that was a surprise. So, of course, that made everyone go really down on Swift, and they both ended up scoring about the same amount of points. And both were really high amounts of points and against the 49ers defense of all defenses. So really confusing situation. Kind of boggles my mind with Swift. The players they have below him are Jonathan Taylor, Chris Carson, David Montgomery, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Saquon Barkley, Damian Harris. There's some good running backs that they've ranked DeAndre Swift ahead of. And I think just because of that usage of Jamal Williams, and again, like Tony said, I think Green Bay is going to come out swinging. I mean, I think it could get kind of ugly. So I'm going to go with Tony on this one and actually say that I think he's going to be a loser this week. I don't think he's going to finish as high as the number 12 running back. Not this week.
Two things. One, I'm hoping since he's healthy, they move some of those Jamal Williams carries over to Swift. And second, I hope you're right about Green Bay coming out swinging as an Aaron Rodgers owner. So
100%. I feel that pain 100%.
I feel like they kind of army crawl out on the field last week and just kind of like.
I think you're giving him too much credit.
You done messed up now, Aaron.
All right, guys, let's move to our next running back. And for this one, we're going to do Elijah Mitchell. They have him ranked at 28. Elijah Mitchell is playing against Philadelphia at Philadelphia. They have him all the way down at 28 after the performance he just had and Mostert being out. So let's start with Kyle on this one. Elijah Mitchell ranked at 28. What do you think, snoozer or loser?
Man, I got to put him at loser. I really think Trey Sermon's going to come back and be the guy. The coaches said they kept Mitchell because of his special teams contributions, and Trey Sermon's got to be the guy there. So he'll have some usage, but I don't think he'll get the bulk of it, and I certainly don't think he'll finish that high. So loser for me.
Okay. Tony, what do you think? Elijah Mitchell at 28 this week.
Yeah, I think the Shanahan family secretly loves frustrating fantasy owners.
Absolutely.
And to me, Elijah Mitchell is kind of the epitome of fool's gold. Now, I will say that there is the potential there for him to be a league winner if he were to be the go-to guy and be the lead running back on the season. But I just don't see that happening. And Shanahan's already come out and said, he's going to go with the hot hand. I do see Trey Sermon coming out and being a lot more involved in the offense this week. we could see more of a committee approach. I don't even know if we'll necessarily see a single lead back each week. I know they just signed Kerryon Johnson to the practice squad. So that's probably right about where I would put Elijah Mitchell, kind of right in that range. I mean, if you're on waivers, you're going to grab him just for the opportunity to see what it is that you actually have in Elijah Mitchell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree with Kyle. He seems like the perfect letdown this week to me. Loser.
Perfect. Got you both as a loser. Yeah, and I mean, again, people are going to spend a lot of waiver dollars on him, a lot of fab, and But I mean, it'll be interesting to see if he keeps it up. And another injury could always happen. 49ers have had a lot of injuries already in the off season and stuff. So if Sermon gets hurt, I mean, Mitchell is the guy. So not a bad stash or flex play maybe, but cool. All right, guys, let's move on to some wide receivers really quick. I've got 3 wide receivers on my list, so we'll just move down that. Okay, my first one that I have for you guys. Let me clear your helmets there. Perfect. Okay, first one I have for you guys is Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett had a big week. He did that some last season too. They have him up at number 11 wide receiver this week. He is playing Tennessee at home. Tyler Lockett is playing Tennessee at home and ranked the number 11 wide receiver. Tony, what do you think about that? Snoozer or loser?
Just based on Tyler Lockett's prior history, I put him as a loser because he's when you talk boom and bust, I mean that's Tyler Lockett. He's going to have 2 or 3 games like this every season where he blows up, puts up some great yardage and 1 or 2 touchdown games, and then the next week totally disappears. So that is high. 11 is high for me as far as Lockett. I don't know that I would ever kind of rank him that high just because he's not that dependable receiver. He doesn't get a lot of volume. Even on Sunday, he was with how many? I don't know how many targets he wound up with, but it wasn't many. So I put him in my loser column.
Perfect. Kyle, what do you think? Snoozer or loser?
Yeah, he's a loser for me too. 11's very, very high. I think they're going to come out and try to establish DK as the dominant receiver this week. I know, like, in the rankings, I think they're probably thinking potential shootout with Tennessee, but I don't think it'll work out that way. Like Tony said, he'll go off for 40, 200 yards and 3 touchdowns one week, and the next week he'll get 1 catch for -2 yards or something. Like, he's boom bust. I don't know how he made it as high as 11, but yeah, he's a definite loser for me at that ranking.
Perfect. Cool. I agree. That's a super high ranking for someone that performs.
I was shocked he was ranked that high over Allen Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, Cup, McLaurin, Thielen, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, just to name a few. There's no shot I'm
Antonio Brown.
I'm not starting him over any of them.
No, not at all. That's wild to me. Okay, so our next one, y'all have made this really easy tonight. Y'all are just throwing everyone in the loser column together and calling it good. All right, guys, our next one is DeVonta Smith. DeVonta Smith had a really good week this week. Looked good with Hurts. They have him down at number 32. So DeVonta Smith is ranked 32 wide receiver this week. He's playing at home against San Francisco. Kyle, what do you think about DeVonta Smith at home against San Francisco at rank 32? Snoozer or loser?
I don't. He's not to the level. I mean, he's had 1 game. He's not a set it and forget it yet. But I mean, 32 it seems low for the number 1 receiver on the team. Like, I'm gonna go with Snoozer. I think he'll outperform that.
Cool.
That's pretty low for the number 1 receiver on the team. Jalen Hurts looked good. Jared Goff proved that San Francisco is not as good on defense as we thought. So, yeah, I think he'll do better than 32.
Cool. Tony, what do you think? Better than 32? Snoozer or loser?
Yeah, I think I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on DeVonta Smith. The guy looked pretty spectacular at his first game as a rookie. Hard to believe. What we're really looking at, though, at least what I'm looking at when I'm looking at receivers and I'm trying to discern who is more dependable or what type of guys to look at on waivers. First stat I'm always looking at is targets, because that is going to be, I think, what you're looking for in a receiver, especially PPR league. Guys who are target monsters, who has the potential to have as many catches as possible. And when you look at DeVonta Smith, he was the leading receiver on Sunday with targets. He had 8 targets. I think he had six catches on Sunday. Had that touchdown. And so for me, that sets a very high floor. And putting him that low kind of is almost ignoring what we saw from them on Sunday. Jalen Hurts looked ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That offense seemed to be firing on all cylinders. And DeVonta Smith, make no mistake, he's going to be a big part of that offense this year. So 32 seems a little bit low for me. I don't think we'll see him that low again this year.
Cool. So
I think they had monkeys making these rankings. They got you got him so low, and then to put Tyler Lockett so high. It's like, what are these guys doing?
So that's my question. Would you start Smith over Lockett?
I would.
If you had to choose between the two.
If I'm choosing between those two, I would.
I see Tony thinking.
That's pretty gutsy. I don't know that I'm quite there yet, but maybe I want to see one more week. I'd like to see it one more week. Tyler Lockett, I think, is more of a proven commodity as a receiver. I can definitely see Lockett. I think 11 is high to rank him. That doesn't mean that that I'm putting him out of my top 20. So I would probably still lean Tyler Lockett in fantasy, at least for another week, just to see exactly what this offense looks like against. Remember, they're playing San Francisco, so you got to keep that in mind. That San Francisco defense is tough. So I would probably lean more towards Lockett.
Cool. Alrighty, let's clear those helmets and move on to our last wide receiver here, and that's going to be DJ Chark. DJ Chark, FantasyPros has him all the way down at, let's see, 46. DJ Chark is the 46th wide receiver. They're playing at home against Denver. Alrighty, DJ Chark had not a bad week. So let's start with Tony. What do you think about DJ Chark, ranked at 46 wide receiver this week?
That seems to be a bit low. I think they're playing Denver. I get it. We've got to be careful in fantasy. You do this long enough, and you constantly remind yourself, don't kind of read too much into 1 week's performance. Again, I'm looking at the targets, and I'm pulling up his stats from last week, and 12 targets. That's a pretty strong target share. Now, I don't think that we're going to see him get that number of targets moving forward. I think that probably might be his ceiling on the season. Mm-hmm. So I don't expect a tremendous game from DJ Chark this week, but I would definitely put him above 46. I think he might be in, kind of in the flex consideration, but I would not use him as a wide receiver 1, 2, or 3. I don't feel necessarily comfortable with him in that role. But I think 46 is a little bit disrespectful based on what we saw from him. Yeah. I mean, I still think that offense is going to go through Shenault. I think that's who they want to feed the football to. I think they're going to continue to move him around in various formations and playing on the ends, a slot, coming out of the backfield. That game last week just got away from them, and it was a game script that I don't know they anticipated. So, look, if Jacksonville – this happens to Jacksonville every week, and Lawrence is throwing the ball 50, 60 times every week, then we're going to see good years from Chark and Shenault.
Maybe Marvin Jones Jr. too.
Yeah. So again, I could answer your snooze or loser. I probably would slide him into my snoozer based on that ranking, if that's what we're doing.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly what we're doing. You have learned the game. Kyle, what do you think about DJ Chark at 46 this week?
So I think we're looking at another trio of receivers there in Jacksonville, like we have in Cincinnati, like we have in Dallas before Gallup got hurt, and when he comes back and stuff. Like I think these guys are going to kind of rotate big games. But when you're looking at the stats, Tony said Chark had 12 targets. Well, Shenault and Jones had 9 apiece. So like they didn't necessarily have the same yard. Well, Jones had a really good day, but Shenault, it was short yardage plays and no scores. But I definitely do think they are going to rotate big games and what have you. However, they have Jones and Shenault ranked ahead of him, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would still have Chark ahead of Marvin right now if it was me. So, yeah, I'm going to put him in that snoozer column too. I think he'll do better than 46, especially against Denver. Like, I don't see them struggling. Well, I don't know. Denver defense is pretty good, I guess, aren't they? It's their offense that's terrible. But, yeah, definitely a snoozer from 46.
And even their offense, I would say, is probably improved this year from last.
Yeah, it looked better this week than I thought it would. But
Tony, what do you want to add?
No, I would just want to say a lot of this is going to depend on the game script. And I'm trying to find here how many times Lawrence aired the ball out on Sunday. I know it was more than 50. And when you throw the ball that many times, you're going to be able to feed 3 receivers, Marvin Jones, Shenault, and Chark. I just don't think that that's going to be their game script, at least their plan moving forward, for him to have that many pass attempts. So I think we're going to continue to see Shenault as the target leader in that offense. There might be some weeks where maybe Jones or who is we're talking about? That's what happens when you get to be old. Chark.
Yeah.
We might be some weeks where we see that flip flop. I think for the most part, Shenault's going to be the target guy in that offense, and that's what's going to determine Chark's valuation on a weekly basis. I think that's a little bit low. Down in the 40s for Chark.
They have Shenault at 36. That's way low for him too, I think.
I agree. We have no reason to think at this point that Lawrence isn't going to air it out 50 plus times.
Yeah.
Based on what we saw on Sunday.
Agree. Okay, cool. Let's clear those helmets. And I didn't actually have this one on my list until I was looking again at this, reading this off to you guys. But I'm going to throw him out there because what an interesting thing that happened this last weekend. Brandon Aiyuk is ranked at 40th wide receiver this week, and he's playing at Philadelphia. Kyle, what are you thinking about Brandon Aiyuk, other than how mad you are at him from this past week? Snoozer loser at number 40 wide receiver this week.
Loser until he plays and we see him play and catch the ball. Loser. He will not play for me until the week after he starts getting the ball. So he is on my bench until further notice.
Noted. In Kyle's doghouse. Tony, what do you think?
My keepy list.
He's in Shanahan's doghouse, and I wouldn't. I mean, I don't think he's playable this week. I wouldn't touch him this week.
You'd have to be desperate.
Yeah, you have to be really desperate. So, I put him in my loser column. I'll be honest with you, I don't even want to mess with him on the year. If you got somebody who thinks they can buy low on Aiyuk, I'm moving Aiyuk. I'm off him. I'm not even waiting around.
We got him in a dynasty. Dynasty, I'm holding.
Well, maybe dynasty, but I don't like kind of how this thing is shaping up there. And I'd have major concerns if I'm an Aiyuk owner. I don't want to necessarily say 10 out of 10 panic, but I think there were people who took Aiyuk thinking that he was going to be a breakout guy this year, and I'd have major concerns on him.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting how quickly someone can fall because he was a big offseason target for a lot of people and then doghouse immediately. And really no rebound. People don't have that like, oh, don't worry, it was one game. Like Zeke, everyone's like, don't panic, don't worry. Aiyuk, everyone's like, he's done.
Sell.
Yeah.
it doesn't help him also that Deebo Samuel is legit. Like
Mhm.
that guy is. I mean, he
Totally.
from the time he's come into the league, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy and stay on the field. They say the best ability is availability, and he hasn't necessarily kind of led in that department.
That's
But
cute.
make no mistake, that guy.
like
What's that?
That's cute.
I like
Best
that.
ability is availability.
Yeah,
It's
so
true.
it's true.
like
Best ability is availability. If you're not available, then so anyway. That doesn't do a whole lot to help Aiyuk. I think that's what the guy we should be looking at. Deebo Samuel's is the receiver you want in that San Francisco offense.
Aiyuk is Deebo Samuel's handcuff.
Yeah,
He could be, but don't forget you also have Kittle. So at best, Aiyuk is the number 3 option there.
All righty. Everyone on the same page tonight. Let's move to some tight ends real quick. We'll finish up with these 2 tight ends. Let's start off with Rob Gronkowski. Big week last week. Started off last season really slow. Starting off this season with a bang. They have him down at the number 12 wide receiver this week, playing at home against Atlanta. So Rob Gronkowski, number 12 tight end this week. Tony, what do you think? Snoozer or loser?
Total snoozer.
Yeah.
That guy, he's just Gronk is back.
Yes.
Last year was an off year for that offense. It took them a while to kind of get in sync, but man, I'm kicking myself for not grabbing Rob Gronkowski as my number 2 tight end, saying, okay, let me just get this guy, because if he does anything like we've seen from him in prior years in New England, I mean, he could be tight end 1. 8 of 8.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just ridiculous, and he has that connection with Brady, that the talent, the connection, the chemistry. I think that offense is going to feed Gronkowski this year. I'm buying him wherever I can buy him, if I can buy him, because people who have him are not moving Gronkowski.
Nope, because people love him. They just love Gronkowski. If you have Gronkowski, you probably picked him up because you just liked Gronkowski and you were hopeful the old Gronk would come back, and boom, it just Merry.
Yeah, for me, he's a weekly top tier tight end. I got him top 5 weekly. In my he's a plug and play. I don't need to see anymore. We already know what we got in Gronk.
Yep.
This is not like a new guy, new off. I mean, we know what we have in Gronk. It was just a matter of them kind of utilizing him more in that passing game. And that obviously is the plan for them this year. So I'm all over Gronk.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kyle, I already know your answer because we already said it, but would you
I noticed you already got the snoozer helmet up and everything.
Yeah,
I totally agree. I'm a big fan of Gronk, always have been. I love that guy.
Would you categorize him as a steal of the draft for whoever picked him up late in a draft?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I was targeting Johnny Smith late in drafts. I should have been targeting Gronk.
The whole time. Yep.
The whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it took him half a season last year to kind of get up to speed in that offense.
Maybe more than
and
half.
Stuff like that. But towards the end of the season and in the playoffs, you saw it picking up. Same with Antonio Brown. I mean, you saw towards the end of the year it started kind of picking up. But then, yeah, Gronk is back, baby. Like he's, all cylinders firing right now.
My sneaky guy that I drafted as my number 2 tight end was Adam Troutman in New Orleans. He was kind of slipping through because he had the injury in preseason, and so he was going undrafted. And it looks like he might not even be the tight end to own in New Orleans.
I've already dropped him in 2 leagues.
So I'm like, what was I thinking? Why did I not? Because Gronkowski was there for all of us to take. All of us could have had him.
Yep.
And it was like the guy who drafted his second tight end last picked Gronkowski on a flyer, and now this guy is. I mean, he's back. He looks just like we were talking about Brady last week. He looks like he did back when he was with New England.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
So
It's dangerous.
yeah, snoozer.
All righty, guys. We got one more player for the night. We're going to touch on Gerald Everett. Had a big game this week, probably a big waiver wire pickup. They have him down at number 15 tight end for the week, playing at home against Tennessee. So let's start with you, Kyle. What do you think about Gerald Everett at home against Tennessee? He's ranked number 15 tight end this week.
You know, I think he's got an opportunity to do better. I'm looking at the guys that they got ranked ahead of him, and like he's at 15. The guy ahead of him at 14 is Hooper, but beyond that, like Higbee, Gronk, Tunyon, Jonnu Smith, Goddard, Fant. I don't know necessarily that he'll do better than all of them, but he definitely has the potential to. So, yeah, I'm going to stay snoozer on him because he definitely has the potential to.
Okay. Kyle's game is snoozer. Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got him. I've got him as a loser. I don't know that I'd play him over any of those tight ends. And again, just you don't see the volume. You know, they didn't really feed him the ball much. I'm trying to look now. Looks like he had what? He had
2 for 2
passes,
for a touchdown.
2 for 20 and a touchdown. That's probably, you know, without that touchdown, no, we're not even talking about Everett. So, you know, I'm going to definitely be very touchdown dependent type tight end. He's not going to get the volume. I'm looking for guys who have the potential to elevate that floor with more with a larger target share. So I've got him down as a loser.
Cool. Well, it's the second time I've gotten to pop in here this time, guys. Thanks for disagreeing, ending this on a bang for me, at least. So looking at his stat line, I was looking at his points last week, and it's like, oh, he's scoring some good points. Now I kind of look at his stat line, and I do see that 2 for 2 for 20 yards, and that touchdown is why he had those kind of points. So I think maybe a little overrated there. So I'm also going to put him in my loser column until he can prove that he's going to do it over and over again. But he could be Robert Tonyan 2.0 and just be touchdown dependent. But he could put up big points because of it. But as of right now, going with the loser column. So, all right, guys, those are all the players I have for you this week. Of course, there are many more that we probably could have talked about, but we're going to wrap this up and really appreciate your time. And we'll see how we did when Sunday comes.
Good luck.
See you guys.
So long, guys.